Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, lamento mucho no poder estar con ustedes en esta ocasión, pero permítanme expresar mi agradecimiento por esta oportunidad para enviar un mensaje. Thank you to the presiding officers of this meeting, Senator Laura Itzel Castillo, President of the Senate of Mexico, and Syed Naveed Gamar, President of Parliamentarians for Global Action, for the invitation. I also want to extend my gratitude to Dr. Margarita Caso Chavez, Director General of Marine and Coastal Conservation and Management of Semarnat, the Secretariat of Environment and Natural Resources of Mexico, which has been instrumental in organizing this meeting. I'm delighted to share some brief remarks regarding the agreement under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea on the conservation and sustainable use of marine biological diversity of areas beyond the national jurisdiction, known as the BBNJ Agreement, which is of direct relevance to the theme of this session and more broadly to your important work. The BBNJ Agreement is the third implementing agreement to the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, often called the Constitution for the Ocean. It marks a historic milestone for global ocean affairs as the first comprehensive cross-sectoral ocean treaty in decades after the adoption of the Convention. More than a legal text, it represents a major victory for multilateralism, the United Nations, the ocean, and for people. Moving from adoption to entry into force in just over 2 years, the BBNJ Agreement showcases what the international community can achieve when it unites to confront shared global challenges. This landmark agreement addresses 4 key issues. First, it sets up a framework for the fair and equitable sharing of benefits arising from activities with respect to marine genetic resources, ensuring that such activities benefit all humanity. Second, it provides for the creation of area-based management tools, including marine protected areas, which will help conserve and sustainably use important habitats and species, boost resilience to climate change, ocean acidification and pollution, and support food security and other socio-economic objectives. Such measures are vital for achieving the global target to effectively conserve and manage at least 30% of marine and coastal areas by 2030, as agreed in the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. Third, it establishes a process for conducting environmental impact assessments to prevent, mitigate, and manage adverse impacts on the marine environment. And fourth, it facilitates cooperation in capacity building and the transfer of marine technology, helping to level the playing field for all states to responsibly use and benefit from marine biodiversity of areas beyond national jurisdiction. Covering nearly 2/3 of the ocean and a large part of its seabed, the BBNJ Agreement is critical for addressing the triple planetary crisis of climate change, biodiversity loss and pollution, and to meet various ocean-related goals and targets, including Sustainable Development Goal 14. It's also a clear example of the commitment to advance inclusive ocean governance, with the inclusion of provisions for the first time in a legally binding instrument on the participation of indigenous peoples and local communities, gender balance in the composition of the various bodies under the agreement, and gender responsiveness of capacity building. To date, the agreement has 87 parties, with this number continuing to grow. However, the agreement's objectives can only be fully realized with broad and ultimately universal participation. In this regard, it's essential that parliamentarians and other elected officials remain actively engaged in states' efforts to become party to and implement the agreement. You can play a pivotal role in these efforts. You can drive progress by promoting the agreement's objectives, strengthening national implementation frameworks, and raising awareness about the agreement of key stakeholders, including civil society, the private sector, and the wider public. I'll conclude by noting that work is underway to lay a strong foundation for the implementation of the agreement. Now, in its third and anticipated final session, The BB&J Agreement Preparatory Commission is considering a number of critical issues to be decided upon by the Conference of the Parties to the Agreement at its first meeting, which must be convened early next year. On this note, and as you continue your discussions over the next 2 days, I wish you fruitful exchanges and every success in your deliberations. Thank you.